Hello, this is Courtney. Welcome to my channel. I am a mom and I'm a first-time mom. I have a precious little boy named Noah and I make videos about different things that I've experienced as a mom and the things that I've learned. So today's video is going to be all about the postpartum period from birth to about 6 weeks. And he's actually past that now. He's almost 2 months old. But this is just kind of that critical time from like after you have a baby to your first doctor's visit and some of the things that I experienced. So the first thing that I kind of want to go by subject. So the first subject I want to talk about is just, I guess, like kind of how my body was doing. So I just kind of want to put this little disclaimer in there that everyone's postpartum experience is very different, and it really depends on the kind of birth you had and how many babies you were having and if you had any complications, if you tore, lots and lots of different things. So I'm specifically going to be talking about recovering from a natural vaginal birth. I did have a stage 2 perineal tear and I did have to get stitches. So that's kind of where I started from, and then I'll kind of go through my journey. So in the hospital, obviously right after having the baby, I was able to get up and kind of do, you know, go to the bathroom or walk around or whatever because I hadn't had an epidural. However, because of the stitches, I was in a lot of discomfort and didn't really feel like doing a whole lot. Even though I technically was allowed, I still didn't feel that great. So moving around and everything, I was very sensitive, and that was really tough for me. Even coming home, I was really careful about like sitting down and standing up, and I only like sat on a pillow, and I was just super sensitive and very uncomfortable from whenever I had the baby all the way until the stitches dissolved, and that took about a week and a half. So just know if you do have to get stitches or if you do tear, it may be kind of uncomfortable at first, and it does get better. I mean, now I feel totally fine. It was just that period, and having stitches, you know, they can be kind of itchy and uncomfortable in general, so that's just going to take time. They did give me a dermaplast spray in the hospital, and they also sent me home with some of that, and I felt like that helped a lot. But other than that, you know, it takes time. And that's kind of the way I felt about the bleeding too. One thing that I had gotten actually in another mom's YouTube video was to buy Depends diapers to actually wear home from the hospital, and they were so comfortable, and I just really liked it because I didn't worry about ruining any of my favorite underwear or anything. I just threw on a pair of Depends and they were so comfortable. Like at first, that sounds really like, I don't know, you kind of go, ugh, I don't want to wear those. That'll make me even feel more like a grandma. But no, it was actually amazing, and I would definitely do that again. After I used that whole pack, I was kind of like, well, I guess I shouldn't buy any more of these. And so I switched over to wearing like regular pads, and it was kind of like a regular period at that point. And it took about a week for it to turn from really like, you know, heavier than a normal period into like more of my normal period, at least for me. And like that amount of bleeding. So it wasn't, I didn't have terrible bleeding. I wouldn't say it was that bad for me. Really nothing out of the ordinary. And then it was like completely gone before I had my 6-week appointment. So that was not that bad. The only part of that recovery that was annoying was the stitches. As far as weight goes, kind of transitioning topics here, actually at the hospital I didn't lose as much weight as I expected. I only lost about 10 pounds. And that was kind of discouraging because I don't know, I just kind of was like, well, surely, you know, you have the baby, but you have, you know, the placenta, and I was just really hoping that, you know, all the little things would really add up and that I wouldn't look so large afterwards. But if you didn't know this, you still look kind of pregnant after you have a baby. My stomach was still sticking out, and I had kind of expected that. But still, you know, it's kind of disheartening when you still look pregnant and you're not. So that takes a little bit of time for everything to shrink back down, and if you have some swelling, that has to go down as well. So after I came home, the first 2 weeks, I was just dropping weight really quickly, and I don't know if that's because it was breastfeeding or if it was swelling that was going away or what. But after 2 weeks, I was feeling so good about myself. I was like, wow, if this keeps up, I'm gonna look awesome in no time. Like, this is great. But it like tanked after that, and to lose like the last, I would say, 7 to 10 pounds of baby weight would take some serious work for me. And I don't know if that's really a goal of mine. I definitely want to get healthy and I want to get my muscles back really strong, because after having a baby, my muscles in my abdomen felt so weak. And even just like sitting up to pick up the baby, I like had a hard time doing that, just because all the muscles, they were just shot. So I would like to get stronger again, but I don't know if I'll ever get back down to that weight. I just want to say it was kind of discouraging, you know, when you're feeling like everything's going super great and then all of a sudden that weight loss just stops and you're like, oh no, is this my new normal? But it's not the end of the world. And I had another post about just my postpartum body and like kind of coming to terms with it. And I think that's something that's really important to do. Not that you don't want to be the best version of yourself, but you don't have to hate yourself until you get back to your ideal body or whatever you're going for. You can appreciate that your new body it's been through a lot, it's done a lot. So that's kind of where I am on that. I'm not like itching to necessarily like lose all that last weight, but I would like to get in better shape. Something that really helped as far as like feeling good about myself was I had some of those maternity pants, not the kind that like have the big pullover, but the kind that have like the stretchy side panels, and they look like regular jeans on. They have a button, they have a zipper, and it just has these two little elastic like side pieces, and that's the only thing that makes them maternity. And I was out wearing those like a week after having the baby, and everyone was like, wow, you're already back in your jeans? And in reality, none of my jeans fit me even remotely. But it made me feel really good, and it made me feel like I could go out in a regular shirt and regular pants and look like pretty good. And so that is something that I would recommend to any mamas that are pregnant or have had a baby, is there is no shame in rocking some maternity jeans. Get the ones with the side panels and no one will even know, I promise. And then like, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to touch on, except for like the serious side. So I felt like this is really important. You know, everyone talks about like postpartum depression and postpartum blues, and while I don't necessarily like want to label anything that I experienced in those categories, I will say that I think it's perfectly normal to feel things other than completely excited when you come home with a new baby. I was in pain, I was exhausted, and I was so overwhelmed with all the new responsibilities that came with being a mom. And I know David was feeling a lot of the same things. And when you're sitting there in the middle of the night and everything hurts and your baby's crying every hour to hour and a half, and you have other things going on, and you're possibly, you know, dealing with who knows how many different things depending on how your baby was born, like I said, it's a lot. And it's okay if you're not just feeling butterflies that whole first couple of weeks. If you're feeling stressed out and like, wow, what have I gotten into, and I don't know if I'm going to be a good mom, and all those kind of things, that is totally normal. It is nothing bad about you, and it's not something that you should be ashamed of or feel like you have to hide. And yeah, I was really excited to come home and to be with my baby and to see how perfect he was. But I also felt some of those other things, like the negative things, where I did feel stressed out at times, and where there was times when I was thinking, I don't know if I can do this, and I don't feel like I have the energy to take care of him, and will I ever sleep again? I had those feelings too, and that's something that I think is really normal, especially like the anxiety portion of it. And I don't think I was really prepared for that because I was so excited to have a baby. But the amount of like excitement and love that you have for your baby doesn't necessarily take away all of those other things. And I still have a lot of anxiety as a new mom, especially like being away from him, and like if I ever have to leave him with somebody, that causes me a lot of anxiety. And that's something that I think that as a new mom, it can kind of steal some of that joy away from you when you're so worried and stressed out. But just realize that it's normal. It's okay. You're still a great mom. There's nothing wrong with you if you're stressed out and overwhelmed, and that you'll get through it. And just I've been reminding myself I am not the first person to have a baby. A lot of people have had babies. And I will make mistakes as a mom, but that doesn't mean that my kid is going to turn out to be some terrible person just because I'm not the perfect mom, because no mother is ever perfect and there's a lot of good people in this world. So just cut yourself some slack, cut your spouse some slack, and I guess my biggest two things I want you to take away from the postpartum period in general is be patient. Be patient with your body physically, be patient with your spouse, and just realize that a lot of things take time. It's going to take time to heal. It's going to take time to adjust to your new role as a mom, and that's okay. And then my other tip is get help. If you have people who are willing to bring you meals or who can, like watch the baby for you while you go out and get some fresh air or whatever, I think that that is wonderful. We definitely took advantage of all the help we could get at the beginning, and we don't have family that live very close by, but even then, like, so many of our church family and other people really pitched in to help get us through and make that time easier. So there's no shame in needing help, there's no shame in getting help, and then when someone else has a baby, you can turn around and do it back for them. So it's a wonderful time in your life, but it's okay if you're also overwhelmed and stressed. I hope this answers some questions and some concerns you may have postpartum. It really will get better if you're going through a hard time, and if you're really, really concerned, always call your doctor and check with them. I know I called the maternal evaluation unit at UAB multiple times when I was getting settled in breastfeeding, and I'll make another video all about breastfeeding. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below something that you liked about it or something about your experience postpartum, and I'd be happy to hear that. Alright, y'all have a good day. Bye.